Hello there. Welcome. I have some fall farmhouse pumpkin DIYs I can't wait to share with you. I'm Whitney Lucas with Crafty Thoughts and Whatnots. Let's jump in to the craft room. First DIY of the video, we have a wood round, this little mini one from Dollar Tree. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This was a different project that didn't work out. So it's already been painted on the back to try to cover up all the stamping and gobbledygook that happened. We won't talk about it. I had a bad experience. Anyhow, I'm moving slowly, but I sped this up and cut a lot out. I used a heat gun to really heat up the hello to get it off so it didn't break. Now I'm showing you that I covered it up with some chalk paint. So I painted the back white because the front had a lot of chips on it. But I did get the hello off in one piece. You'll see a couple burn marks there, but it is possible to get those off. It just takes time and lots of heat and patience, and make sure you don't start a fire. But moving on, I have this pretty scrapbook paper I've had for quite some time. It's Recollections brand. I'm believing that's a Michael's brand, but again, this paper's so old that it doesn't matter. Just find something that's comparable to like the colors in the palette you want to go for. So I kind of just was looking for something that was pleasing to my eyes. So tracing it out here as to where I'm going to put the scrapbook adhesive. This is a double-sided adhesive you use for scrapbooking. It's a permanent adhesive, so make sure you put it down where you want it the first time. And then I'm going to take my finger sander and just sand off the excess on the edges to get a good crisp little edge there. That way it looks nice and tidy and neat, makes me happy. And now we have a pretty alternative to not being able to see what I did originally to that wood round, poor thing. But now it has a new life. Now, we're going to take an IOD stamp. This is Fruitful Harvest, one of my favorites. You've seen me use this many times because I love pumpkins. Also, not a surprise if you've been here, I kind of have a thing for pumpkins. So this time, I'm going to take the little stamp. Now, any chance I get, I want to use that big pumpkin, but I keep doing all these little small things. But let me know if you guys want to see me do something bigger, because the smalls make me happy and they're good for time. But like if I could do maybe one larger project, there wouldn't be so many smalls, but we'll see. But anyhow, continuing on with this one, we're going to take the smaller pumpkin of the set. And this right here that I'm using is a drop cloth. I got off of Amazon, but you can get them anywhere. Any hardware store, Walmart, you name it. If you have drop cloth or even just some blank canvas or even some fabric that's just plain so you can stamp on it, because what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to take a darker ink. Now this is a Distress Archival ink. It's the color Ground Espresso, so it's a very dark brown color. I didn't want to go really hard with like too much of a black color because I want to still keep this in fall. Now it's a lighter stamp here, but see, you still get a lot of detail. Now if you don't want to go the route that I'm going to try here, because I've seen a couple people do this with these IOD stamps, and again, you can do this with any stamp. I'm going to paint it. So I'm going to take some Craft Smart Orange, and then this brand is Americana, and it's a burnt sienna for the stem. And I'm going to paint over the stamp. So we're just going to take our paint, and this is my first time doing it. Now, you're basically coloring. You're coloring by numbers. So with the paintbrush, I'm going to painstakingly, and with a little bit too much effort, stay within the lines of paint. I'm using it's not a fine tip, but it's just a paintbrush that had a point on it. Now, I don't know anything about painting. You know, I buy paintbrushes that look nice in a pack, and if they're not too expensive, I mean, I might spend maybe at most $8 on a paintbrush, but I will use that paintbrush until it is begging me to let it go. But again, I'm not big into this kind of stuff, so I don't know much. So I just took the paint. I found a tip that looked like I could do a little bit of more detail work, and I'm filling in the stamp basically with the colors that I want to. So put a stamp down, use it like a color book kind of thing, and we are going to fill in all of our blank spaces. So this one's pretty easy for a beginner because I just needed the two colors, orange for the pumpkin, brown for the stem, and we are done. Now, I'm going to dry it a little bit, make sure it's good to go for our next step, which is stamping back over the top of it so you can put those details back in. So again, the first stamp, we are looking for maybe the coloring book kind of thing. That's the best way I can describe it, is like, what do you go back? I go back to my childhood with coloring books. And yes, I always stayed in the lines because I'm a neat and orderly person. Now, my stamp over here is a little crooked on the bottom, but I am not going to get on myself about that. I kind of like it for that little bit of homemadeness. You can tell that this is homemade or handmade. Now here our main piece here, says table decor. I got this at Hobby Lobby probably a year or two ago. I don't remember, about maybe last year. Got it on clearance for $3.29, and I'm pretty sure I got more off of that. This is a very nice thick charger. Again, this was a project that didn't turn out from before, so I am recycling my idea for fall. And I've already taken some of this DIY dark wax from, it's Debbie DIY Dark Wax. I get all of my DIY and IOD, all these goodies, I get them from Lori at miltonsdaughter.com. There's a link and a code in my description. Check it out. It's great. Now, I put the dark wax around the outside to show you the difference in the two, so that's why the charger now has a little bit more oomph to it. So, back to our little canvas here, because we are not done with even half of what we're going to do to this. I'm going to cut off more of the edges of our drop cloth here because I need it to be just a little bit smaller. When I put it on top of my little wood round there, it was taking up a lot of space. Now I'm going to fray the edges on purpose to make it look intentionally not intentional. Does that make sense? I'm going to make it intentionally look not intentional. That's what we want. I want to fray it. It's still kind of, in my opinion, I could have weathered it a little bit more to make it look like it'd been through, make it look like it had a hard life. It's a piece of it's a piece of home decor, Whitney. It doesn't have to look like it had a hard life. I say that in all my videos. I want it to look weathered, distressed, old, vintage. Take said word, insert here. I want it to look like that. So I'm taking my dark wax and I'm kind of muddying it up a little bit in different places. And now we're going to go and jump to the little hello that we took off the front of our round. And then I'm going to use 3 of these. They're half wood beads. I got them off of Amazon. If you need to know, they're the 15 millimeter, as you can see here as I'm pointing in a zoomed up way. But they are listed in my Amazon shop if you want to take a peek. It's in Project Supplies. The Amazon link is in my description and a link comment below. I'm going to take 3 of the beads, and I'll tell you why in a second, and my hello, and we're going to use the Home Decor wood tint in the color walnut, which is my new favorite obsession. If you've watched any of my last, 6 videos, I use this on everything now because it's not a wax, and it's a gorgeous color. I used a piece of masking tape here upside down so that I could stick my little loose pieces to it. That is one of the best little tricks I learned that keeps those little loose pieces from flying everywhere and makes it possible for you to paint or stain them. And now I'm just taking that same stain with the beads and we're going to put it on the hello, and we're just going to put a nice coat. Now it soaked up that tint very, very well, but I didn't want to go too dark. And in some of the places you can kind of still see where I burnt the L's, but it's all good. It looks, again, that whole whether it had a hard life thing. We'll go with that. Just like when you burn food, it's Cajun style, right? It's not burnt, it's Cajun. That's how that works. So I'm going to take my little pumpkin here and I'm going to glue it down to the bottom half of our wood round. And I'm going to use my hello. I'm going to try to position my hello in the spot that I want it on. So it's going to hold down that top left corner. So the purpose of this is to just hold her down, take note to make sure that you're securing the hello, because it was warped a little bit after all that heat. And then I'm going to use the 3 beads to make it look like those are the little tacks. Taking my dark wax, and I'm going to kind of just distress the edges of the round to give it a little bit more of that hard life look instead of, we won't call it distress, because I know there are some people that watch these videos and just absolutely despise distressing. That is farmhouse. That is, if you see the word farmhouse in anything, distressing is going to happen. So if you don't like distressing, omit that step and continue on. But distress is part of farmhouse, in my opinion. You will always see that. So that's what's going to happen. Now, these little discs are from Dollar Tree. They're little styrofoam discs. I'm going to use a 2-pack. They come in a 2-pack. And I'm going to glue those 2 together. And then with a little bit of Tight Bond Quick and Thick, which is a multi-surface glue, I'm going to put that in the middle and then put some hot glue around the edges, and our styrofoam is now secured to our wood charger. Now, the premise here is that this is going to go on top, and because we have the 2 pieces of styrofoam underneath it, you're going to have a raised area that we can fill in with all of these beautiful little fall florals. That makes my heart happy, makes my farmhouse pumpkin heart happy, and some fall colored eucalyptus picks from Dollar Tree. So these are old Michael hydrangea bushes, and then I think I add some Hobby Lobby stuff in a little bit later. I'll let you know as soon as I see it. So I'm cutting these all apart. Now I haven't secured the wood round down because we don't want to do that yet, and I'll show you why. I start filling in with what I have. Now this was also a good stash buster because I literally just took the last 2 little bundles of hydrangea I could find. And that's nice, but I'm seeing, okay, the hydrangea, everything on the outside is getting smushed and you're not able to see it. I'm like, something's just not, it's not making me happy. It's not singing to me. So these are some stems from Hobby Lobby. These, I got them a couple years ago also. I guess I haven't bought new florals in a long time. So everything I have is old, but I think Hobby Lobby still carries these things seasonally. And I'm just adjusting and moving them around. I put the wood round up there maybe a few times here and there, just to make sure I can try to get the spacing right, put them down further. I don't want it to look smushed. I don't want it to look forced, because at some point, you know, you want it to look natural, like it's supposed to be that way, but I'm still not seeing what I want as far as the wood round is bigger and the florals are getting squished around it. So what I did was I opened another pack of the styrofoam discs, and I'm just going to add one of them. So this one has a total of 3 of these styrofoam discs from Dollar Tree, and that gave me about a 1/2 inch of height that I needed, so that now that this is on top, now it might not look like it on camera, but when you're looking at this thing in real life, she needed that extra space. It's a big girl, just like me. She needs her space. So we're going to take this sawtooth hanger. I got them at the hardware store, and I'm just going to put it on the back, and I'm going to do that before I attach my wood round, and I'm going to basically pound the life out of it with my little baby hammer, not realizing that I would really need, I'm like, I hope I do not break this charger. But find a way, or your desired method of hanging items. I wanted this to be on the wall, and I didn't want it to have like a rope hanger or anything. So that's the best way possible. Personally, if I was to display this, I'm going to just lean it up against a wall or on a shelf. But I did hang it, and it looks cute on the wall. Just, you know, that's for future purchase. I don't know if I'm going to sell it or if I'm going to give it away, but I have it. You know, it's possible if the person who receives it, or even if I use it later, you can still set it like this up against the wall, or you can hang it should you choose to do so. So that's what she turned out with. Tell me what you think. I like the colors. The colors kind of just showed up that way. The part that I love the most about it, I think, is that scrapbook paper. Now, the lights here in my garage for the studios that I'm taking pictures with, it made it look more reddish, so it kind of works. It just works. I don't know. It just makes me happy. And that little pumpkin, she's so cute. Tell me what you think. Now, this starts out with a mess, as you can see. Just going to give you a warning. There was a disaster of a project before this that didn't turn out, which is why you see some fluffy, it's a very fluffy, thick yarn, big chunky yarn. Just get that anywhere. I got mine at Walmart on clearance many years ago. So I'm using this gray chunky yarn and a pool noodle that had been cut into many pieces and then ripped apart and then pulled again. And you can even see on the yarn to the left here that some of it has pool noodle on it. Yes, there's many things that didn't work out. So this actually is the only surviving thing that I thought was cute when I was done. So I'm throwing it in here and I'm showing you. In order to get this wrapped around the inside, we're making a pumpkin. So I taped the yarn to a dowel so it's easier to put through the middle. Now the yarn will squish upon itself, so that's not going to be any kind of issue. And you just keep looping it around itself, inside out, inside out. And we're going to make it so that this the yarn is chunky because the thickness of the yarn makes it look like the ribs of the pumpkin. So it's working for you that you don't necessarily have to put even, more effort or more twine or make it look like the pumpkin has sections. I call it the ribs of a pumpkin. I'm not sure if it's ribs or not, but I'm not trying to look it up anyways, but you tell me. Let me know below. Do you know what that is called? I know there's people out there that call the stems a peduncle. I don't. I say pumpkin stem. Actually, I just say punky and happiness, and that's really about all that matters to me. But if it matters to you, you do you, and you let me know. So after I get all of that wrapped up, we have a cute little pumpkin shape, and it turned out great. And I didn't have to paint the pool noodle. Now, we're going to add a stem. So cut to my favorite bag of wood stems that I finally found at Dollar Tree that I was way too excited to find after 1,700 years of never having them and seeing everybody else use them. So I got a stem in there. It's looking more like a pumpkin every second, making me happy. Now I'm going to get my junk buckets out. I got some pipberry garland here. This is just a white garland. I do not know where I got it. I didn't get that at Dollar Tree, but you can get them at Dollar Tree. Probably Craft Outlet. And then I'm adding just a pinch of the pipberry that I wrapped around a dowel to get that, the tendril look, and then some Spanish moss, and then my ribbon junk bucket, because I have graduated to 2 junk buckets. I had some double, some finger bows made in the bottom of that, so I just grabbed a double finger bow. I have a finger bow tutorial in my description below if you want to see how I make finger bows. It's slowed down, so it's an easy video to follow. Practice makes perfect, and just take a look in the description and you'll see how I did them. And I also added just a twine bow. I tied that like you're going to tie your shoelaces, put that one down first, put the ribbon finger bow above it, and then we're done. And so we have what it used to be and what it is now. What do you think? I think this one is absolutely cute, and I couldn't say no to it. And it's on my desk right now. I love looking at her. She's so cute. I named her Loretta. I'm kidding. I just made that up right now, but she looks like Loretta, doesn't she? She's so cute. Anyways, again, from a failure to a success, this is about all that survived of that idea, but I like it, and tell me what you guys think. All right, now this one, we're going to take a plank from Dollar Tree, just a wood plank or any wood plank wherever you get it. I got mine at Dollar Tree. Now this one's been, the wood itself is a little rough. It's Dollar Tree wood. Had a lot of sap, lots of sap, especially right here where I was concentrating on, and you'll see in a second how that comes back to me. Now I sanded a lot of the edges, got them smooth, cleaned up a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this stencil set from Essential Stencils. They're called pies. And I'm going to specifically use this girl right here, pumpkin. And it says right here, I'm going to point at it so you can see pumpkin pies. Then I have to find it with my finger so I can hold it to the camera inordinately long amount of time. Pumpkin. So we're going to use the pumpkin one. Now to get the but the spacing out, I want it to be a little bit off center. So I'm putting painter's tape towards the top. And then I need to measure to see how much space I need for the actual stencil. I'm using the whole stencil on this girl. So now that section in the middle will be where my stencil goes. And that is where we're going to use my favorite wood tint again. Folk Art Home Decor Wood Tint in the color Walnut. I love this color. So you see here on the top right, that's where all that sap was. I sanded it. I tried to reapply the stain or this wood tint. And it is what it is. It's part of nature when you do things with certain, that's just how it turned out. That's just what it is. I like it. It's fine. It's a natural piece of wood. It is what it is. Sometimes when you're looking for perfection in things, I think the flaws and the mistakes and the crookedness or even a misspelled word sometimes, I think it adds character and makes things prettier. So it is what it is. Now I'm going to paint the rest of these spaces with my Debbie's DIY paint in the color Beadboard. And this was also a purchase from miltonsdaughter.com. I get all my products from from Lori. It's Debbie's DIY paint from Lori at miltonsdaughter.com. The link is in my description below. Take a look at it. There's lots of stuff there. Even decoupage papers, all kinds. It's a great place. I get lots of stuff there. Now, I'm going to take it, and I only did one coat. This DIY paint is very we'll say the word heavily pigmented. You don't have to do many coats if you don't want to. And I had a tiny bit of bleed through. Again, I reused the tape. I probably should have used a fresh piece of tape, but because DIY paint is clay based, it needs to be sealed. I can take this, I got a wet paper towel and I just wiped it off. Even after it had dried, I was just able to wipe it off. So I got that crisp line back, which eventually it kind of does matter because I didn't want it to bleed down into the part here that we're going to stencil on. But we are going to put ribbon around it too. But had I left that, you would still see some of the bleed through. So in that instance, if I had used a regular acrylic or chalk paint, I would not have been able to get that off. So that's one of the benefits to using the DIY paints is that you can they scratch off of glass. If you haven't sealed them, you have lots of room to change or fix errors or any of that. So I'm taking the same paint and I'm using a stencil brush and I'm offloading a lot. So I fill up the brush and then I tap a lot of it off to the side and then I stencil. So most of the time I'm going into the stencil, I am using a somewhat dry brush and it takes time. So I've sped this up. But as long as you offload that brush before you start pouncing on top of your stencils will come out. I've put a video out previous to this that you'll see I made a couple mistakes because I don't know what I was thinking. I just went in with a full brush and you'll see how it bleeds and it looks bad and then how we fix it. So once that's dry, we're going to put on rub-on transfers, also from Essential Stencil. This is a set called Pumpkin Spice. I bought them earlier and of course, it's pumpkin pie and more pumpkins and lattes and cupcakes. Oh my, makes me happy. So we're going to take this larger piece, slice of pumpkin pie. We're going to put it at the bottom. It's a little bit bigger, so it was going to overlap. So I put a piece of painter's tape at the top again. I'm going to apply my stencil where I want it. You're going to use your application tool, whether it's a squeegee, something plastic. I'm using a wooden one from another set of stencils I got from somewhere else. And you're just going to rub the entire project over, make sure it has a good nice contact. And then when you pull the tape off at the top, I guess I cut that out. I'm sorry. You can see at the bottom there, the top of the crust was going to cover up the little bottom of the stencil there. So what I did was I pulled the painter's tape off so that stencil, the rub-on part stencil, wasn't going to be on our words. And then here I'm going to apply on the top some of the little cupcakes that are part of the little pumpkin. You know, I think that's my favorite, pumpkin cupcakes at the grocery store, man. You walk past them, I can't say no. Oh, I'm getting hungry for dessert. It's so good, especially with like cream cheese icing. Again, kind of gonna probably go get some now. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, crafting. What do you think? So I've decided to take a third cupcake that was part of a different one, and I kind of cut it apart so I can piece them together, and I made my own little thing out of it. And here's where we're sitting. Now, none of this has been sealed yet, and I was going to seal it, but if you're going to seal things, you got to wait, because I'm going to seal with wax. So I'm going to wait to seal, but I'm going to put the hanger on the back now. So this is actually a piece from Dollar Tree. You guys know, you've seen them before. They go through the tops of holes, and it has these little plastic pieces that kind of pushes in the hole and then holds on to the back of it because it moves left or right. And you'll see here, I'm using that to my advantage, and I'm using a staple gun so that those pieces are going to hold in the staple and the twine actually won't come out. Now I'm going to take some ribbon I got at Michael's probably a year or two ago, and I'm going to put a border around where we put our paint and our stain. Now again, you would have still seen that bleed part on the top right had I not taken that paint and, you know, got it off. So I'm going to do top and bottom, and I'm going to show here. I'm only putting small little dots of glue. So if I had already applied my wax in this instance to seal this, the glue is not going to stick. You got to make sure that when you're using a wax for sealing, that you do that last. So in this instance, I needed to make sure that I wasn't going to put wax over my ribbon and stuff, but I'll talk more about that in a second. I wanted the back to look nice. I don't like when things don't look finished. So I tried as best as I can to make things almost like a retail quality look to them so that you would see this is something finished that you would buy even off of a store shelf. So I'm going to use some craft tape to finish off the back like you would see like on a framed photo or a piece of framed art in a store. And that's just to cover all that behind the scenes stuff. So here's where I'm going to seal. So I'm using clear wax, and I'm sealing the stencil as well as the paint. So the white paint has to be sealed. We don't need to seal the tent, but because I stenciled with the same paint, we need to seal the whole project. So I just concentrated on those areas. Yes, wax did get on the ribbon, but it doesn't stain or look oily or greasy. And this is our finished product. She's all stained, or she's all waxed up. Now, I did glue this to the top. I'm making a little bow for our top corner. And what I'm gonna do is I'd like to recently just start tacking these together with glue, because then they'll stay in one spot the way you want them. So I do that awareness ribbon shape, and I put little dots of glue, as you can see here. And then with my pipberry garland, I'm going to make a bow out of this. This wasn't exactly the easiest thing to try to, to try to show you how I did it. You kind of just bend the wire as much as you can, and then I took the bottom piece and twisted it around the middle like you would if it was a tail. But because it's wire, it's actually way easier to manipulate and get it to the size you need it. And then I took a little tiny dowel and I wrapped the tails around it to make them look like tendrils, you know, little cute squigglies. And so this is going to be the top of our bow. And we're gonna layer these two girls together. Now, because I know I have wax behind here, I'm gonna put a little dot of glue in the beginning. I had to put diagonals on those tails. I had to cut that. So there's the dot of glue. But because I've already put wax on it, I came back in with my staple gun here just to staple it down, just to make sure that that's not going anywhere. This is your home. You stay there. So now I can hot glue to the ribbon itself. So this is now permanent. I don't have to worry about the wax and it popping off and being embarrassed, and 10 days later and it's on the floor and you're like, I don't know why that happened. And then look at this. One of the little pips of the pips, are they called pips? The pip berries? One of the pips. I don't know if it's a pip, whatever. Pipberry garland. They had red on the cord or on the whatever. So I had to cut that out because I literally couldn't get it to not show, and I couldn't have an empty space. So then I cut it off, and then I used some pliers and I glued that thing back into the middle. So I won. Domino. I won. And here's what it looks like. I love how that little bow turned out. And I love that it, you know, if something covers part of your project, remember, nothing is one. Layers are pretty. If you want to layer things, it's where you get fullness and interest, and it takes your eye where you want it to. Don't worry about covering up some of the things, but I still think I might need to put something on the bottom because it's just one big piece of pie right there. But at the same time, I really like how this one turned out. I was worried that maybe I needed a frame around it, but I turned it into a hanger. And again, I don't hang many things on the wall. I use a lot of this stuff as shelf sitters, or for, you know, layering in shelves on the wall or tiered trays. Now this is a little bit big for a tier tray, but you can still lean this up against the wall next to it or behind it. And I love how it turned out. You tell me, would you have done anything different? Do you have any ideas for a border? Let me know. Now, our project here for last project for this video is, look at this cute. I got, I think 4 or 5 of those. So you will be seeing more. The little hello, that says Hello Pumpkin, but they're the cute little Dollar Tree rolling pin signs, table decor signs. I was able to get some, and we're going to use one, and then also one of these Dollar Tree trays. And again, here comes my favorite wood tint in the color walnut. I'm telling you, I need to call Folk Art. I don't think they're doing bad. I mean, I don't think they need me to be like, oh, that's right. Crafty Thoughts is using our wood tint. Yeah, no, who doesn't? Lots of people are. And I love this color. It just makes me so happy. So I put a coat of it all over. I didn't have to concentrate too much on the inside after I started doing it. I'm like, you're going to fill this with flowers and ribbons and Spanish moss. So don't concentrate on it too much. So I still did it, but I didn't put anything on the front because we're going to need to use some wood glue, and we're going to attach this cute little rolling pin sign to the front of our crate here. So I'm going to use some Tite Bond actual wood glue in combination with the hot glue for you know, short-term, long-term, all that good stuff. And I'm going to get a little clamp happy. I put a paper towel there so I didn't scratch the front of my little sign, and you let that sit off to the side. Now, this is an old Dollar Tree pumpkin that I bought because they gave it to me even cheaper, because it didn't have a stem on it. And then I'm going to use that pumpkin, and I'm going to use this it says craft fabric. I love this pattern this year. I got that this year. That is the colors, the green and the orange and the brown were gorgeous. So I took off the little velvet cover there, and we're going to cover it ourselves. Now, I did some pumpkins for Halloween last year, and I'm going to cut to that real quick and show you. I needed to get a specific shape that worked for me last year that I saw once I deconstructed one of these 2 pumpkins I got at Dollar Tree. Now, I did not see these pumpkins this year, and had I seen more, I would have grabbed more. But here's some video from last year. These are the 2 pumpkins. I made a Halloween video, and these pumpkins have sections to them. So when I went to just deconstruct them and you pull them out, you can see they almost look like flower petals. And so I took them all apart, and if you see, when I'm laying them down here, I needed to cut my fabric because I wanted to replace them. This is the shape we're going for. They look like little petals, flower petals, or even like an eyeball shape. I'm not sure what you need, but I needed this. So I'm applying that from last year to this pumpkin this year. So that's just me. I pulled the footage from my video from last year to show you. I needed 5 of these because if you look at the pumpkin itself, this styrofoam pumpkin does not have the sections or the divots in the actual styrofoam, but we're still going to use it like it does. And we're going to use hot glue instead of tucking it into creases in the styrofoam. We're just going to glue it. So after I cut out 5 pieces, and then I used my curling iron because I was too lazy to actually plug in my iron. And I got all the creases out of it. So I'm going to start with putting one in the middle, and I'm putting a line of glue down one section. And I'm going to use my fingers, and I'm pushing that into that little groove there so you can kind of see the rib of that. And then on either side, of course, I gotta secure this down in the middle a little bit better. And then I'll show you what I did for every section. And it turned out so cute. It almost looked kind of like ragdoll, kind of, you know, I like the pleats and the way it looks like gathered. I'll show you real quick. I put a little bit of glue. I'm using a fine tip glue gun, a very small one. And I put just a thin line of glue here. And with my finger, I'm just pushing towards it. I want the wrinkles to be there. I want it to look kind of gathered because, again, we're taking something bigger and pushing it down towards itself. And you see, this is the desired effect. So you got the crease in the middle, and then we're doing that same exact function process on each side. So here I put a thin amount of glue and push with your thumb towards the crease of the rib. And look at that cute little gathered look. Now, when I put the second one on, I'm going to show you in a second. It has like again, it looks like a little ragdoll effect. I'll show you real quick. So I'm going to speed this up and do the next one and layer them all up. But when I put the 2 together, I really liked the way it looked. I hadn't planned on that happening because, again, the pumpkins from last year had a crease and a groove in them, and I would tuck it in there, and it was very neat and tidy. But look at that. Doesn't that look very scarecrow, very, you know, I keep saying ragdoll. That's just about the only thing that keeps coming to mind. I like the way it looks. It's very, not sloppy, just very vintage or country or rustic. I don't know. Pick a word that makes you happy, use that, but whatever it is, this makes me happy. So I'm good with it. Now the bottom isn't being covered too well. And for this project, it doesn't matter because we're going to nestle this inside our little crate we made. But if you have an issue where the bottom is still showing a lot, use a piece of felt or another piece of fabric, cut it in a circle, kind of cover it that way. It doesn't even have to be a circle. You can cut it in a square with like some pinking shears and you'll be fine to cover up anything that might peek through. Now for the creases here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to attach some of this jute twine from Dollar Tree and I'm going to go start on one side. I'm going to bring it down one side and up the crease of another side and then turn my pumpkin down to the very next crease, go down and around, come back up next to our pumpkin stem, turn it to the next crease. And we're going to keep following this all the way around until we get every crease done. So this is the ones that even don't have a seam in them, but every single crease will have a piece of jute running in it. So the ribs of the pumpkin are even more defined. Cut it off, glued it next to the stem. We're good to go. Now I got some orange pitberry garland that I think this is craftoutlet.com again, probably a long time ago. And I'm gonna make 2 tendrils. Same thing you've seen many times. I'm going to take it, I'm going to wrap it around a circular project, whether it's a pencil, a pen, a dowel, a glue stick, find something cylindrical and get to wrapping. It'll be great. Now, I'm going to attach these 2 in. Now, for some reason on this video, the 2 pumpkins, even the one before with the pool noodle, I put the tendrils in first and then put the Spanish moss on. Don't know why I did that. Normally I put Spanish moss on first and then I nestle the tendrils inside those so I can glue them down into it. So I don't know what I was thinking, but let me know if you tell a difference or if I'm way overthinking it. But I mean, I like that the Spanish moss is there to cover the behind the scenes. It puts a fall feel to it. I know that a real pumpkin, none of this is real. It doesn't have to be. Whatever you want it to be, that's what it'll be. I want this to be fall and pretty and fluffy and messy and cute. So I also got into my stash, and these are faux leather leaves I got last year at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut cut the end off of it, but ignore what I'm doing with this bottom part because you'll see in a second. It didn't work out with the smaller pieces, so I just kind of tucked this one in towards the back of the stem, and I love how this turns out. That little piece of leather, it just, it's faux leather, but it's just a different texture. Makes me happy. And here I'm trying to tuck in these little pieces like I'm trying not to waste anything. I'm like, Whitney, stop it. Just let it go. And then I put a little gathering. I just kind of rolled it in my hands like I'm trying to make a little ball out of it and tuck some more Spanish moss at the top. Now our pumpkin is done. So we're going to go back to our little crate here. And now with the magic of editing, and it's been a day, it's fine to go ahead and do it with the hot glue there too, but I wanted to wait to make sure it was secure. So now I'm going to take styrofoam. And I'm going to just kind of get this cut to the point where I'm happy and it fills in the majority of it. You don't have to fill the solid base with anything, but we need enough to nestle everything into it. So I'm just hot gluing this styrofoam into the bottom, and I'm going to fill with our favorite friend, Spanish moss. Fill that up, make it fluffy, look like a little bed. We'll kind of tuck some more of that wild stuff in later. Don't worry about that for now because we got a lot to do. So here's my pumpkin. We're going to nestle that on top. Now, I took a dowel, and I put it in the pumpkin first. And then I cut the dowel so that it would be short enough to go in there. Problem is when I pushed it in right here, boom, the dowel went further into the pumpkin than it did the styrofoam. The styrofoam of the pumpkin is much softer than the styrofoam I used in the bottom of the crate. So I had a problem with the dowel not sticking and then my pumpkin not really being secure. So I ended up taking the dowel out. I put it in the bottom styrofoam first, and then put glue on it and then push the pumpkin back down on top of that. Since it's a softer styrofoam, I already had it secured to the tougher styrofoam underneath. Hope that makes sense. Let me know. Sometimes I think when I'm describing these things, I'm like, Whitney, really no one's gonna, the chaoticness that is you is just, one of a kind. So with a little bit of Dollar Tree eucalyptus and Michael's little fall daisies and some of these little tiny orange sunflowers from Hobby Lobby, I just took some stuff that felt great from my stash and I just kind of just started popping them in where I felt they needed to be. And then I'm like, I need a little bit of green. So I grabbed a green color and there's still like a fall color from Dollar Tree, the green eucalyptus. And I kind of moved one of the daisies over. And when you get to the point where it makes you happy because you get those, you get the little crafty butterflies. That's the part that makes me happy. And look how cute this is. This one I think is my favorite. The last ones always end up being my favorite. So I'm tucking in my Spanish moss here on the edges, but look how cute it is. I love, and I did not change that little rolling pin table decor, but I have some more ideas planned for ones for other holidays. You'll see it coming back up, and we're gonna obviously cover it with stuff. But look how cute this is. This is just the cutest little tabletop, decor, just cute little, again, shelf sitter. Could be a shelf sitter. Could be just look at it. That's all you have to do. What is it? It's to look at. It makes you happy. It's very fall. I love the colors. I love that fabric. The leather leaf. Again, I love everything about this. Let me know what you think. This one was, I was worried because I literally just took pieces of everything I could find and threw it all together. It's like, does it look like I kind of threw it together? I don't care if it does. She's so cute. She's so cute. Makes me so happy. How about you? What do you think? Now, that's it for today. Here are these 4 cute little fall DIYs. I love pumpkins, so again, every single one has a pumpkin in it, and that is a-okay. But let me know what you think today. I had a lot of fun making all of these. If you have ideas or suggestions or tips, or maybe you want to see me do something specific, let me know in the comment below. What one was your favorite, and what do you think of so far everything? I mean, everything's been pumpkin. It's been pumpkin palooza, but that's okay in my book. But let me know what you think. And then what's coming ahead. Are there things that you specifically want to see ahead of time? I know Christmas is coming, but I'm not ready to let go of pumpkins yet. We'll have to see how it goes. So with all that said, that's it for today. I had a lot of fun. I want to thank everyone for joining me every time. If you're still here in the video, throw a hey Whitney, or just say the word pumpkin, quote pumpkin, pumpkin emoji. It probably won't be that hard to do that anyways. People will just be like, what? It's pumpkins. It's Whitney. It happens. That's what she does. But I love how this turned out. Let me know your thoughts. And I have a coffee page. So if you feel like you've learned something from me, or you enjoy my videos, any type of support you can throw this way, there's a link in the description for that. Everything is appreciated, never required. And with all that said, I love you more than I can possibly say in words. Many hugs, happy crafting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.